Hey, my beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. We just got back from the Bernabeu. Hey, it's Champions League. I always lose my voice a bit in Champions League matches, so forgive me for that. But let me just give you sort of my hot take from this match. Look, we won both matches, the one in Lisbon and the one in Madrid. I think that on aggregate, we were the better side and deserved to go through. I think primarily because we have players that are technically superior. And so we only need a few moments, a few isolated plays, and we can do a lot of harm because we have very, very good players. But I think this performance was just enough to get through. I mean, I think Benfica were a very uncomfortable rival during the course of this match. I didn't think this was an easy match at all. I think that in general, the team is still playing what I would describe as unconvincing football. There are many aspects of our play that are still a little bit inconsistent, very irregular. We have a very hard time getting the ball out of the back. It takes forever for us to get the ball out of the back. We are very easily affected by a press. More than we should. It took a long time for us to get the ball off Benfica. They had very long spells of possession where they were passing the ball very comfortably. I felt like we weren't biting enough, but we were very efficient in front of goal, and we were able to use our opportunities very effectively. But I do have the sense, look, we deserve to win and we deserve to go through, but I do have the feeling that against a more serious rival, this would have been a different story, and this would have been a much more difficult match. So I am very, very concerned, I mean, obviously with what lies ahead, because the teams that we're going to face from now on get very serious. We'll find out whether it's City or Sporting Lisbon, but I don't know. This is a team that can win because of the quality, but there are still many aspects of play that are unconvincing. In terms of the match, let me give you my thoughts really quickly. The lineup was exactly as expected. So as center backs, we had Rudiger and Asensio, which were pretty much kind of, all we could do. Alaba eventually came in later on. And then, of course, the only other change was Kylian. We found out during the course of the day that Kylian was certainly not going to play, and Gonzalo played in his stead. But other than that, it was a sort of 4-4-2, and the rest of the lineup, I think, was very predictable. Courtois in goal, Carreras on the left, Trent on the right, Rudiger and Asensio as center backs, and then you had the four midfielders, Tchouaméni, Camavinga on the left, Fede on the right, Arda a little bit further up, and then, of course, Vini and Gonzalo up front. Now, in terms of the first half, interestingly, and I just mentioned this anecdotally, Benfica asked the teams to switch sides. Like 99% of matches in the Bernabeu, Real Madrid attacks to the north end in the first half and attacks to the south end in the second half. And it's kind of a courtesy that teams let you do this. But once in a blue moon, a team will insist, if they win the toss, they insist to switch sides. And Benfica did. That was a very kind of Mourinho-esque thing to do. So they kind of played in the reverse direction that they typically play. Now, the tension level was very high in this match. You could tell that the public was, the crowd was really into it because all of the leftover tensions from the first leg were alive and well. So there was a lot of tension in the air. Now, Benfica, in the first few minutes, did, I think, a very good job of holding onto the ball and taking the sting out of the match. And Benfica had a lot of possession in the early minutes. I found that we were not biting enough. We were sort of defending positionally, but we were not aggressive in terms of poking at the ball, biting at the ball, and trying to steal the ball. And it allowed Benfica to have sort of spells of possession that were, in my view, unnecessarily comfortable. We were always looking, in terms of our attack, it was very focused on the left side, very focused on Vini, but Vini, every time he got the ball, was very, very well marked. I mean, sometimes he would only have one defender and would try to take him on, but on most occasions that Vini got the ball, he had at least two or three. They were very aware of trying to mark Vini. We were, like I say, struggling to get the ball out of the back. Courtois had to go long most of the time, and that meant losing the ball almost immediately. In the 13th minute, there was, horrible marking. This was the goal by Benfica in the 13th minute, and this was just a ball, to the right. And Asensio, Obviously, he was trying to clear the ball, but it turned out to be a perfect shot on goal, like a number 9 type of shot on goal. And Courtois had incredible reflexes to get down and save that ball. But of course, it pushed him to the left, so it was very hard for him to recover once the ball got to the Benfica player and they scored on the rebound. So this was just a defensive error. These things happen. Now, the good news is that the Benfica glory lasted only 3 minutes. 3 minutes after that, in the 16th minute, we had the goal from Tchouaméni. This was the first really decent offensive play that we had produced in the match, but it was a very good play, very good decision-making at the edge of the box, and Tchouaméni with an absolutely excellent shot right by the post, totally unstoppable. Now, Benfica kept trying to attack. They were always attacking us on their right, so our left. So they were picking on Carreras the whole night. Asensio, I thought defensively was very poorly positioned. This is sort of back-to-back matches where Asensio, I find him a little bit out of position defensively. In the 23rd minute, we had a shot by Kama from distance that went to the keeper. In the 24th minute, a very good shot play by Vini that ended up with a shot that ended up in the keeper's hands. Like I say, we were struggling to get the ball out of the back. I found that it was too slow. Getting our offense going just felt very, very slow. Our press was not very effective. Like I say, they kept attacking Carreras' side. In the 31st minute, we had what we thought was the goal by Arda Güler. In real time, it didn't look like there was an offsides. This must have been absolutely millimetric, but that goal was called off. Which is a shame because, I mean, it looked like a good goal, but I guess he must have been offside by like 2 millimeters. Okay, one thing I noticed just as an observation, that sometimes when Courtois gets the ball at his feet, he sometimes chooses the wrong option in terms of when you reinitiate play. Courtois always has a fullback going wide on one side and a fullback going wide on the other. He sometimes insists over and over on the same side, even though he has a much freer player with more space and time on the other side. It's just an interesting observation. I mean, Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world, but I find it funny that sometimes when he reinitiates play, he chooses the wrong side. Just a kind of a bizarre observation. Benfica were managing to create danger. They when they were in possession, they did look a little bit dangerous. We looked very predictable in possession. I think we just looked a little bit, the ball circulation was a little slow. We looked a little bit predictable. Now, one thing I did notice as well that I really liked about Vini tonight is that sometimes when he would get the ball and he had like way too many defenders in front of him, he had some switches of play that were very good. He had like 2 or 3 switches of play that were really not just intelligent, but very well executed. And that's an aspect of his play that I really appreciate, because, I mean, it's a sign of maturity to switch play and make these kind of passes. In the 40th minute, Arda Güler almost scored. In the 44th, a fantastic cross by Trent with his left foot, and Gonzalo, almost scored. In the last few minutes of the first half, I thought, we were kind of attacking a little bit more, and we kind of ended. Vini was sort of very active on the left-hand side, and we finished the half. I was thinking, okay, well, it's not that bad. We in the last few minutes of the first half, we were kind of on the front foot. Another thing I noticed is that Arda and Trent are starting to combine a little bit better on the right. You can tell that they're spending more time playing together, and I saw some good combination plays, quick 1-2s between Arda and Trent that I thought were very encouraging, because you could tell they're getting used to playing together. In the second half, I thought in the first minute there was a very good ball into the box by Trent, and Fede almost got on the end of it. It was just a phenomenal pass by Trent. In the 52nd minute, a corner by Trent that produced a header. His long passing is really, really good. It produced a header that went high. Now, Benfica were trying to counter at this point, but they looked dangerous when they counter. Like, they did look dangerous. Like, when you're in the stadium, you get different sensations from different rivals. But Benfica did look a little bit dangerous every time they attacked us. So it was a nervy night. In the 55th minute, we had an excellent play by Trent. Almost scored. but it was a great play on the right by Trent. And then his final shot just went wide, but that would have been a phenomenal goal. Asensio, again, I have to say he was a little bit misplaced. In Pamplona, I also found him a little bit out of place. So Asensio, just something to mention. Obviously, he's injured now, and we hope it's nothing serious. But I thought he was a little bit out of place defensively. Trent's passing in the second half, I thought, was much better. In the 59th minute, Benfica actually hit the crossbar, and like I say, they looked dangerous every time they pushed forward. So it was kind of an uncomfortable night all around. Benfica's possessions, like I say, were a little bit too easy. I didn't feel like we were pressing the ball aggressively enough. Tchouaméni had a fantastic run. There was one incident in the second half where Tchouaméni's making a great run up the middle, and he's sort of initiating a counter, but nobody else was running with him. So it's just like there are these little things that I noticed that the team feels a little bit undercoached, because a lot of our transition play and our counters, sometimes we either do it too slowly, or sometimes when we do it, only one or two players are sprinting forward, but the second line of players is too slow joining in the counter. So I still feel like a lot of our play is a little bit disjointed, and it just smells like a slightly undercoached team if you watch it objectively. Okay, like in some cases I wrote that we were kind of booting the ball out to get out of trouble. And it felt like we were playing at times like a small team. Like the second you feel a bit of pressure, you just boot the ball. And that's just not something that you expect from a team of Real Madrid's stature. But on a few occasions, we did look like a small team in terms of just booting the ball out without any proper criteria. There was a ball loss in the 68th minute, and Benfica came very close to scoring. I felt that we were playing with a little bit of fear. There was just a little bit of tentativeness in our play. Now, another thing that I noticed is when Courtois gets a ball, so Benfica attacks, the ball ends up in Courtois' hands, and he immediately gets up to try to initiate play, but there's just nobody making runs. And eventually we end up in the same situation where we either roll it to a defender, and then we're getting pressed by Benfica and end up having to boot it long, or Courtois just can't find any outlets, so ends up booting it long. But there are a lot of plays when Courtois traps the ball, he immediately gets up. He's a tall guy and he's looking forward, but nobody's making those runs. Again, this just smells to me like a slightly undercoached team, because these things don't feel automatic. Like when Courtois gets the ball, automatically players should know which one need to start sprinting forward, make themselves available. But it just seems like that kind of stuff is not automatic at all. In the 69th minute, a great pass by Trent into a running Fede. The shot was blocked just enough. In the 70th minute, we had the clash of heads between Camavinga and Asensio, and the Asensio thing really scared the whole stadium. We hope it's nothing serious, and we'll have to find out about that. In the 75th minute, Asensio came out, Camavinga came out as well. Alaba came in and Mastantuono came in. But it felt like and at this stage of the game, in the 70-plus minute, it felt like every 50-50 ball ended up at a Benfica's player's foot. A little bit frustrating. In the 80th minute, we finally got the 2-1, and this was a fantastic pass by Fede. His awareness is amazing, and I gotta give Vini a huge amount of credit, because the way that he controlled the ball, the first touch when he receives the ball, and the decision to continue to go straight, not to go to the side, to go diagonal, but to kick the second touch straight, to try to get behind the defender. He held his angle. So instead of, the defensive pressure pushing you to the left, he did a great job of staying in the middle and staying a little bit in front of the defender. And that allowed him to have the angle to finish. This was a very good finish by Vini. And, I criticize him when he makes mistakes in the final third, but this was a very, very professional finish by Vini. We've seen him miss a ton of these, but tonight I thought that was a phenomenal first touch and second touch, and a phenomenal finish by Vini. So we were all incredibly happy to see that, because Vini had personal issues with Benfica, and he got the last laugh, and I was very happy about that. In the 81st minute, right after our goal, Benfica could have scored. They had a little back heel that went just wide. In the 82nd minute, a very good counter on our part that ended up with a shot by Arda Güler that went high. In the 82nd minute, Gonzalo and Arda came out, and Palacios Santiago came in. Now, these are two kids from Castilla, and my uncle and I were talking to each other. We're like, man, to bring two kids that no one's ever heard of from Castilla. And I mean, is this the kind of match you want to bring him in? Like, it's a high intensity Champions League match. It's kind of a ballsy thing to do. I think the kids did well, but I was a little bit surprised to put that much pressure on two young kids. I don't know. It just seemed like an odd choice on the part of Arbeloa. But apparently he has a lot of trust in these youngsters from Castilla. Anyway, I thought Tchouaméni was, excellent tonight. Mastantuono was a ball-losing machine, man. This guy is irritating the crap out of me. He needs to learn when to take players on, when to dribble, and when to circulate the ball. And his decision-making is poor. He's a very talented player, and I don't question his talent. He has a lot of very exquisite touches on the ball. Sometimes his first control is beautiful. He's a technically gifted player, but his decision-making is terrible. And Mastantuono ends up losing the ball almost every single possession because he's dribbling when he shouldn't, and he's just making the wrong decisions. I hope that this is something he can iron out as he gets older and wiser, but it really annoyed the crap out of me, I got to be honest. In the 91st minute, Carreras came out and Fran came in. And one thing I want to mention about, Alaba, that in the minutes that Alaba has played since his return, I've actually found him quite solid. Alaba has been, I thought, he's doing a good job defensively. I'm a little bit surprised, but his aerial clearances and his, he's always in the right place at the right time. Alaba is playing, I think, surprisingly well, considering how long he's been out, the injury and his age and all that kind of stuff. But Alaba, I think, has been doing well. Overall, I would say this was a lukewarm performance. It's still, I think that this team is still very unconvincing in many, many aspects of play. We have a very hard time recovering the ball. We're relying far too much on long balls. I'm all up for the long balls. I think they're great. We have players to play long balls because we got a lot of speed on the wings, and we have players in the back that can deliver wonderful passes. But we shouldn't rely so heavily on long balls, because if you're not combining it with short play, it just feels like we're losing the ball with too much regularity. And of course, the long passes always have a higher risk of losing possession. So you have to combine them with short play and moving lines up slowly as well. You can't just constantly resort to the long ball. And I felt like we were doing a little bit too much of that. So we're losing the ball in possession a little bit too quickly. It takes us too long to recover the ball. I think our offensive transitions are either too slow or too confused. So it's either not coordinated because only one or two players are running up, or we're all moving up, but we're doing it a bit too slowly, and it takes us too long to get the ball out of the back. So our transition play still feels a little bit disorganized to me. Again, we have wonderful players, and we have little moments of brilliance that save the day because we have the most talented players in the world. But we still look very vulnerable when we're out of possession. We still, I think, struggle to press in a coordinated way and recover the balls. And I think, like I say, our transition play still feels a little bit disjointed. So the team still feels a little bit undercoached to me. And yes, we deserve to go through, and we were better than Benfica. But I'm very concerned in terms of some of the teams that we're going to face going forward. Because if we get Man City in the next round, I'm very concerned about what can happen there. In terms of players, just very quickly, I would say I think Vini had a very good game. I think he had a lot of personal pride at stake here. He really wanted this, and I'm very happy for him because he had the last laugh with a magnificent goal. But he was very active. He always brings so much electricity to our play. Tchouaméni, I thought, was excellent. I thought probably our best player. Tchouaméni has been very consistent this year. He's a player that has his limitations, I understand, but the role that he is fulfilling as a defensive pivot, holding he is in the right place at the right time. He steals a huge amount of balls. Tchouaméni's just been very consistent. I thought he had a really excellent night. I thought Fede was pretty good for the most part, like he always is. Asencio, I thought, was not great. Again, let's hope that the kid is okay, and we're all worried about that clash of heads, and hopefully it's nothing serious. But I thought defensively, it wasn't really his night. Trent, I thought, was pretty good. I thought he got better in the second half. In the first half, he felt a little bit displaced, but I think in the second half, he participated a lot more in team play. Camavinga, I thought, was good defensively. Took a few too many risks dribbling right in front of our box. He does this all the time. He got away with it tonight. Didn't lose any crazy balls. And I think defensively he was okay, but it's something he needs to, do less. He dribbles too much in dangerous areas, but he defended very well. I think had a decent match. Arda, not bad. He had some good passes, a little bit intermittent. Sometimes I think he's too conservative with the ball. Sometimes his first reflex is sideways or back before he even checks for other options. I think that's something that he probably wants to work on because he has a wonderful left foot and makes amazing passes. I thought he had a reasonable night, a little bit intermittent, but I think he had a reasonable night and made some good passes. And then in terms of the other players, Gonzalo I thought was okay. And I'm trying to think who am I missing here. Gonzalo was okay. Vini I thought really good. But it was, and then in terms of the players that came on, I would just mention that Alaba has been surprising me to the upside, and Mastantuono kind of continues to disappoint me. Look, we have the draw on Friday, and we'll find out whether we play City or Sporting Lisbon. I do not think that this is a team that is ready to face Man City. I think that we still need a bit of work. I would love to see Sporting instead just buy us a little bit of time to kind of work on stuff because, like I say, there's still some shortcomings in our play. But anyway, we won. We went through. The Bernabeu is always the Bernabeu. Real Madrid is always Real Madrid. We're a very hard team to beat. So, sometimes we win just because we are Real Madrid and we have great players and, the stadium is magical and all that. But I do think we have a lot of work to do. Anyway, look. Those are my thoughts on the match. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I lost my voice. I apologize for that. But I did want to give you sort of my hot take immediately after the match. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Love you guys. And as always and forever, a la Madrid.